Hello and welcome to 5 at 5. Today it's an interesting show because two very important subjects besides some other news as well. Of course, we will talk about multiple sports, but most importantly, first and foremost, two subjects that will require a lot of talk and I will take a lot of questions. Shopnil, if you're at the back end, every question that comes, critical or not critical, if it's not abusive, I want to take every possible question because I've also been sent quite a few questions. So the first subject that I will tackle, there are two subjects. First, पहला जो सब्जेक्ट है, रोहित शर्मा ने कल एक ट्वीट किया था होस्ट ब्रॉडकास्टर के खिलाफ दैट होस्ट ब्रॉडकास्टर has recorded something and played out something which is considered intrusive, and that is something that is Rohit Sharma got irked by that it is considered intrusive. And what is the line? What is the line between a player's privacy and what does sort of in terms of the rights of the host broadcaster? So that's something that has now resulted in intense debate, and there has been a lot of controversy over the last 24 odd hours. So that's something that I will address as part of this particular show. Secondly, there has been another controversy brewing. This basis some comments made by some experts, one of them being my friend Harsha Bhogle, who I have great respect for, and I know Harsha will accept the intellectual difference and appreciate that there can be a different point of view. This is about Mahendra Singh Dhoni and the treatment of MS Dhoni with RCB players. Should RCB players have given MS Dhoni an emotional send-off? Should there have been something different? All of these factors have resulted in quite a lot of talk on social media. First things first, based on what Rohit said, the host broadcaster has now issued a clarification. And let me sort of read out that clarification for you. So, what does the host broadcaster say? Let me read out the clarification for you before I go into the issue per se. So, Rohit Sharma had complained about intrusiveness, and based on that, Star Sports has said, what is your opinion? What Rohit Sharma said against broadcaster? Yes, so what Rohit Sharma said was the broadcaster recorded and played out something despite the cricketer saying that they should not do it. And, he sort of said that this is an intrusion into his privacy. If the broadcaster doesn't respect privacy, there could be a breakdown of relationship between broadcaster, cricketer, and fans, and it is not fair for the game. So he was making a very important point about privacy and intrusiveness. In return, today Star Sports has clarified, and I quote, a clip involving a senior Indian player and his post on social media have gained prominence since yesterday. The clip taken during a training session on May 16 at Wankhede Stadium, for which Star Sports had authorized access, momentarily showed the senior player in conversation with his friends on the sidelines. No audio from this conversation was either recorded or broadcast. The clip, which only showed the senior player requesting for the audio of his conversation to not be recorded, got featured in Star Sports live coverage of pre-match preparations and lacked territorial relevance beyond this. Star Sports has always adhered to the highest standards of professional conduct while broadcasting cricket all over the world. Respect for players' privacy while bringing fans moments of intense actions and preparations sits at the core of this ethos which the broadcaster remains committed to. So Star Sports, in their defense, has put this clarification out based on what Rohit Sharma had said yesterday. Now let me get into this. Rohit, I'm very clear, is entitled to saying what he has about a player's privacy. Now, yes, the broadcaster absolutely had authorized access. Make no mistake. Make no mistake that within the field of play, it is the official broadcaster, the host broadcaster, who has official access and permission. एंड स्टार स्पोर्ट्स जिन्होंने 23-24 हजार करोड़ रुपया दिया है फॉर द ब्रॉडकास्ट ऑफ द आईपीएल, वो हर समय उस ब्रॉडकास्ट को और भी रोचक बनाने का कोशिश करेंगे और आपके सामने सारे वो एक्शन लेकर आएंगे जिससे उनका जो ब्रॉडकास्ट है वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग देखें और उनको वो मोनेटाइज कर पाए. अभी तो इस आईपीएल के लिए उनके साथ जियो सिनेमा का एक कंपटीशन भी है क्योंकि डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म में जियो सिनेमा दिखा रहा है और टेलीकास्ट टेलीविजन में स्टार स्पोर्ट्स. सो उनके बीच में एक कंपटीशन भी है कि किसका ब्रॉडकास्ट और रोचक है और इंटरेस्टिंग है और किसके पास ज्यादातर एक्सक्लूसिव्स है, कुछ होगा जो ऑडियंस को ज्यादा पसंद आएगा. सो देयर इज अ वेरी थिन लाइन हियर. Let me make my point of view clear. Rohit Sharma is entitled to asking for his privacy, and there has to be a line where the player is respected or his privacy is respected. More so, if Rohit had requested the broadcaster that don't record this, don't play this out, as Star Sports has said it wasn't recorded or played out, that must be respected. Having said that, when Rohit was saying that this should not be recorded or played out, to play out that clip as part of their broadcast may not have been, in great taste. So that is what the cricketer was protesting against. And may I say that Rohit is well within his rights to demand his privacy or his intrusive, not to be intrusive into his private space. And if it was a conversation between Rohit and his friends on the sidelines, that can be considered his private space. So here I'm pretty clear that in this sense, Rohit's privacy should have been protected. But this is where it becomes tricky. The broadcaster has paid thousands and thousands of crores to earn this right. Now, if I, as a journalist, or for that matter, anybody as a journalist, and what Rohit was doing at that point in time was practice time where the players are praying. So, if I or anyone, any journalist or anybody goes and records it as part of media or as part of an official communication, or some kind of is related to a team. Some days back, we got a communication from the board saying even practice footage cannot be broadcast if you don't have rights. And it was made very clear. So if you see, no media except the host broadcaster has access to practice. You cannot film that and you cannot show that because it is the domain of the official broadcaster. So while I respect Rohit's privacy comment, let us also understand that the host broadcaster has paid top dollar. So if players or players' families or players' wives or someone within Rohit's fraternity violates the right of the host broadcaster, then there is a case of double standards. And there have been multiple instances in the recent past, and I make that clear. There have been multiple instances in the recent past where families have recorded clips. And by the way, the family has access because the family is of that particular player. The families have recorded clips of practice, which is in complete violation of the broadcaster's rights and broadcaster's authorized rights, and put it on official Facebook pages. Now, this, please, is not for private consumption. This cannot be for private consumption. Rather, these official Facebook pages and YouTube channels are now being monetized by players and families. So while Rohit is well within his rights to claim that this is my private space and the broadcaster cannot intrude into the cricketer's private space, the broadcaster can claim that the fraternity, and this includes Rohit and other cricketers and their families, also cannot impinge on the rights of the broadcaster. And there have been multiple instances in the recent past, and I will give you one. Mahendra Singh Dhoni practicing is gold dust for anybody. If a platform, take for example Rev Sports, if we get footage of MS Dhoni practicing in one of his last games and what he is doing, how he is training ahead of the match, which the broadcaster also is showing, and I have that exclusive visuals which I am able to put out on my Facebook platform or YouTube platform, I will get enormous number of views and I will be able to monetize it. Now that is where it gets tricky. If Rohit is right, then the entire player fraternity, because he is talking about player, fan, broadcaster, Rohit, I think, is right. But when if Rohit is right, then the entire player fraternity, and this includes families of other cricketers who are violating the broadcaster's right every day. Footage of MS Dhoni has been recorded and has been put out in the public domain in commercially monetized Facebook pages or YouTube pages. Sharmishta Guptu today wrote an article for Rev Sports alluding to this, that there cannot be a case of double standards. Because the moment you violate the broadcaster's right by using your proximity as a cricketer's family, and you violate that right or you break into that right, then you are actually impinging into what is the broadcaster's restricted domain as well. So while Rohit is right, one has to ensure that there are no two cases of double standard here. And it's a very thin line because the broadcaster has paid top dollar to have access to these footages. In this case, MS Dhoni's practice visuals, which were put out and is still out there in the public domain in a YouTube page and in a Facebook page run by a cricketer's wife. Now that's where things become really tricky, because if the media puts it out, we will get a copyright strike in a minute, and very rightly so, because that is not our remit or our jurisdiction. But in this case, because the thing was in Bangla and because it was put out, obviously people have not really seen it. This goes under the radar, and this is being monetized, and commercial gains will reside from it, because all of these pages, YouTube channels, Facebook platforms, social media platforms, eventually lead to money. So Rohit Sharma is right, but the broadcaster too will have to ask for protection, because if the broadcaster's rights are violated by a player's family, a player's wife, and a player's larger extended family, then it becomes a serious, serious issue. So I hope I'm being very clear here. While we support privacy, while we support Rohit Sharma's point to the T, but Rohit's larger fraternity of cricketers and their wives and celebrities and their wives who belong to this fraternity are also violating the rights of the broadcaster. The broadcaster can also claim that you are doing it because you're a player's wife and because you have access to certain privileges which normal media doesn't. So the broadcaster is not in a position to sort of sue you, or issue a copyright strike, or take you to issue you a legal notice and stuff like that. So you get away. So this is also a breach of trust between the broadcaster, the player, and the fan. This is a very interesting subject, something that Sharmishta Guptu wrote about today as part of a Rev Sports article. She was in FIFA with me in 2022 for the World Cup, and it was her first World Cup. In her excitement, had put out a 30-second clip of some practice shot of Cristiano Ronaldo. Within an hour, her Facebook page was given a copyright strike and was closed down. Till the time she deleted it and issued an apology, she did not know, but it was rightfully done. It was a mistake, and she had to pay the price for it. Now, she paid the price for it because she's an ordinary, normal person. Any media house will have to pay the price for it. Then why is there a double standard in the case of cricketers or their families or others? Is that not a violation of the broadcaster's rights? So Rohit Sharma has really stirred a hornet's nest, and this is a larger issue that really needs way more debate than what we have at the moment. Factually, Star Sports has put out a statement which I read out to you at the very start of the show, which clearly said what Star Sports has done, that they did not record the conversation, nor did they ever put out the conversation. Rather, in their broadcast, what was put out was Rohit Sharma saying that please don't record this conversation with this friend of mine and kindly respect my privacy. That was put out by Star Sports, not the real conversation. And Star Sports has also gone on record defending themselves, saying, they have an ethos of respect and each time, and they are committed to that as far as the cricketer's privacy is concerned. As far as Rohit is concerned, like I said, he is well within his rights to request the broadcaster for this. And then, if it was violated, or if it was broken, that trust was broken, that faith was broken, he is well within his rights to voice his opinion. But the larger story is this being done clandestinely? Is this being done regularly by people within the fraternity related to cricketers who get away because the broadcaster will not often issue a contempt notice or a legal notice or a copyright strike because a particular person or some people belong to families of cricketers? Now there it becomes a real problem, because these people then get away doing illegal acts. And it has happened. I put it on record in a Bangla YouTube and Facebook platform. A cricketer's wife has put out MS Dhoni footage, and that actually it is against the rights of any individual and belongs to the domain of the broadcaster. I leave this issue there. We've not heard the end of this issue at all, and this will remain a very contentious problem in international cricket. Who's this Anik Day? I'll come to Harsha's thing. I'll come to Harsha's thing and RCB in a second. But let me finish this point here. In international sport, broadcast is the most valuable means of money. So if I get exclusive footage of something, immediately my broadcast soars up. And that is why broadcasters have paid top dollar to secure these rights at thousands and thousands of crores. So while Rohit is right in asking for protection of his right, the broadcaster too should enforce the protection of their rights where players' families are infringing into their domains, and it is still out there in the public domain. Now let me move on. Yes, there were a few questions, Shopnil, which you were putting out. Can you put out those questions? Okay, Anik Day. RCB shouldn't celebrate MSD's wicket. Tell me, MSD announce anything? Let MSD has shared information to his brother Virat, but if VK tells that to his team, doesn't it violate privacy of MSD? ভাই কোয়েশ্চেনটা বুঝতে পারলাম না I understand what you're talking about, and let me make my position clear on this, Anik, and then obviously I get the gist of your question. Now, the point is, should RCB have treated MS Dhoni differently? Should they have given him a guard of honor, or gone ahead and sort of done something and handshake and celebratory handshake and all of that? Two things here. One, and you're absolutely right, this has been my point from the morning. Has MS Dhoni officially communicated anything that he's retiring? Has MS Dhoni made it public that this is his last IPL game and that he will not play anymore? Is there any information like that in the public domain which the RCB players were privy to? If the RCB players were privy to such information that MS Dhoni has formally declared or officially declared that this is his last game, then there is every reason for the RCB players to give him a guard of honor, to give him a special handshake or a special send-off or a special show of respect. But in the absence of any of it, if RCB on their own goes and gives MS Dhoni a guard of honor or a send-off or a ceremonial handshake, and if he turns and says, but I haven't announced my retirement, which is true, I haven't said I will not play ever again, which is also true, then how does RCB on their own do this? How is it that the RCB chaps are to presume that they will have to go and do this for MSD when nothing is out there in the public domain? Absolutely nothing. Also, when there is nothing, MS Dhoni is just like any other cricketer for RCB. For the fans, for the commentators, they might eulogize MS Dhoni. For us, we might eulogize MS Dhoni. But the point is, MS Dhoni, as far as that particular match is concerned, was just another cricketer as far as RCB players are concerned. They are fighting tooth and nail to win that game, to make the playoffs. And MS Dhoni is their most, how do I put it, their prized wicket there, the opponent they have to beat to be able to do it. Had MS Dhoni hit that six of Yash Dayal, the second six, RCB would have been history by now. And while we talk of sportsman spirit and all of this, the fact is very simple. RCB did not violate any sportsman spirit because they did not have a clue or an inkling whether MS Dhoni was retiring or not retiring. In the absence of any such statement, whether MS Dhoni is retiring or not retiring, it is very difficult for an RCB team to go and do something for MS Dhoni, which could then be considered out of bounds. Now, my counter question is, yes, MS Dhoni is a real great, but Dinesh Karthik too has played cricket for 16, 17 years. Then why not CSK give Dinesh Karthik a send-off, a formal ceremonial handshake? The point is the same. Dinesh Karthik too could just continue. I mean, is there any formal announcement on the part of DK that, this will be his last IPL or this will be his last game? Now, in the absence of any such information out there in the public domain, how can anyone do anything, however big a player you are? I don't think it was meant as disrespect. So intellectually here, I actually differ with Harshan profoundly so. While it is good to have sportsman spirit and we understand sport is all about dignity and grace and respect, in the absence of MS Dhoni announcing his retirement and putting it out in the public domain, there's absolutely no way RCB can understand or be made to understand that they need to do this because this is MS Dhoni's last game. And if it is not MS Dhoni's last game, then why? Next season, if he continues to play, why will I do it now when it could not be his last game? So this is a rather vexed issue. This is a rather tricky one where the line is very porous and the line is very thin. Should or should not? Where should the line be drawn in the absence of a formal announcement from MS Dhoni? And by the way, MS Dhoni is like this. He has always been like this. Now, there is no good or bad here. MS Dhoni has never formally communicated. His retirement announcement came at 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. on Independence Day, right? So MS Dhoni has not formally communicated. That's his style. I am not here to judge MS Dhoni. He's an absolute great. All of us respect him and hail him as a player. But when it comes to communication, there has not been any formal communication and there has not been any crystal clear communication, which is a problem. Which is a problem. Do we know if it was MS Dhoni's last dance? Till this point in time, does anybody know, except an MS Dhoni or maybe a Chennai Super Kings, if he's playing or not? Chennai Super Kings has also not come on record on this particular point about what MS Dhoni is doing. So nobody knows. Nobody knows what MS Dhoni wants to do or will do. Now, suppose 6 months down the line he decides to play on. Then how does RCB look when they have already formally given him a send off? For what? In the absence of such formal communication, and there I think the franchise and the player concerned, now they might well turn around and say, why should we communicate? Because there is no such reason to communicate. And they are right. So in that gray area where the player does not need to communicate or does not feel the need to communicate, where is the need to give a formal send-off, or where is the requirement, or where is the justification to ask for such a formal send-off or such respect being shown for a particular player? In this case, I don't think there was any need because there has been no formal communication as far as MSD and his retirement is concerned. The second part to this debate is quite interesting. You know, we talk about handshakes and customary handshakes. Now think about it. Last year, during the Naveen-ul-Haq Virat Kohli incident, now after the match, if Naveen-ul-Haq and Virat Kohli shook hands, what does that mean? It means nothing. If last year we know, say for example, a Gautam Gambhir and a Virat Kohli, after a heated exchange, you have to go and formally shake hands in the middle and they shake hands. What does this mean? It means nothing. It is lip service. It is just a gesture which has nothing at its core. Ultimately, the gesture has to be one of warmth. The gesture has to be one of solidity. The gesture has to be one which is coming from the heart. The handshake is meant to be a gesture of respect. The handshake is meant to be a gesture of, that's what sportsmanship is all about. Now, when two people have been adversaries for a while and they're going for each other and they're hurling abuse at each other and they're talking, a lot of words against each other, if they go on and just shake hands, what does that mean? It is plain lip service which has no real meaning at its core. Much rather, if at the end of the game a player goes to the opponent's dressing room, has a cup of tea, spends a bit of time. I did actually see a video where MSD had gone into the RCB dressing room and something was going on. It was put out in the social media domain. So all of this is a subject of serious importance. So just doing lip service for the sake of lip service and shaking someone's hands, I don't think means anything. While fans can talk about Dhoni, commentators can talk about Dhoni and be eulogistic. As far as RCB is concerned, on that particular night, the first and foremost task for every RCB player was to qualify. And in the absence of anything from MS, there is no reason for RCB to give him any kind of special treatment. And if they need to, they can absolutely go to the Chennai dressing room or invite him over to their dressing room after the end of the game and spend some quiet time and some good time, which is not really lip service. And we all know that MS Dhoni and Virat Kohli share the greatest amount of respect for each other. I have oftentimes called out Virat Kohli for maybe going over the top. But in this particular manner, I have to say there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing that the RCB team has done. Coming back to the Rohit Sharma issue, this whole privacy issue is not going to end here. Our colleague Debashish Sen, in an exclusive conversation with Mukesh Kumar, the Delhi speedster, and the India speedster, spoke about the Rohit Sharma issue. Debashish Sen, in this exclusive conversation for Rev Sports, spoke to Mukesh Kumar. We will play out the full interview tomorrow at 12 noon. But before that, as part of this show, listen into this clip on where Mukesh Kumar stands on the Rohit Sharma privacy issue and what he said to our correspondent Debashish Sen. Here's the clip of Mukesh Kumar speaking on the Rohit Sharma issue. Take a look.
मुकेश, हाल ही में एक घटना हुआ, ऑब्वियसली रोहित शर्मा, जैसे कि क्रिकेटर्स का, हर एक क्रिकेटर्स की प्राइवेसी रहना चाहिए. जैसे कि आप कुछ कर रहे हो और मीडिया आ गया, कुछ शूट वूट कर दिया, वो टेलीकास्ट कर दिया, जो करना नहीं चाहिए. रोहित ने जो ट्वीट किया हाल ही में, वो एकदम सही बोला कि देखिए प्राइवेसी रखना चाहिए, किसी भी प्लेयर्स का अपना अपना प्राइवेसी होना चाहिए. तो आपको क्या लगता है, ये सही है? क्योंकि जिस तरह के मीडिया कभी कभी होता है ना, मीडिया अति उत्साह में जाके कुछ शूट करके वो चढ़ा देता है, क्योंकि उसको व्यूअरशिप मिलेगा, उसको ज़्यादा फॉलोअर्स मिलेगा, थोड़ा व्यू बढ़ जाएगा। मगर ऐसा तो होना नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि सबका एक प्राइवेट प्राइवेट लाइफ है।
यस, भैया जो भी बोले हैं सही बोले हैं यार, हर किसी का प्राइवेट लाइफ है। आप अपने व्यूअरशिप के लिए किसी को प्लीज़ ऐसा मत करें। इट्स हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट आप लोगों से है प्लीज़, कि अपने व्यूअरशिप के लिए किसी का भी ख़राब ना करें। और भैया जैसे अगर कोई भैया अगर प्राइवेट ही बात कर रहे हैं किसी से, अपना पर्सनल बात कर रहे हैं, तो उसको रिकॉर्ड करने की क्या ज़रूरत है। और बेसिकली रोहित भैया के साथ ही सब कोई रहेगा, क्योंकि वो बंदा गलत नहीं बोल सकता किसी के बारे में, ठीक है। तो मैं जानता हूँ उनको, और जो बोले वो सही बोले हैं। प्लीज़ मीडिया लोग से प्लीज़ रिक्वेस्ट है कि ऐसा मना करें प्लीज़।
So there you go, Mukesh Kumar talking about the Rohit Sharma matter and saying that Rohit is entitled to his privacy, और वो सही कह रहे हैं। बट स्टार स्पोर्ट्स का क्लैरिफिकेशन भी हम लोग आपके सामने बोल दें कि स्टार स्पोर्ट्स ने उनके क्लैरिफिकेशन में क्लियर कर दिया है कि वो कॉन्वर्सेशन उन्होंने रिकॉर्ड किया भी नहीं था और चलाया भी नहीं है। खाली रोहित शर्मा जब मना कर रहे हैं कि ये मत करो, वही क्लिप स्टार स्पोर्ट्स के ब्रॉडकास्ट में चला था और उन्होंने ये क्लैरिफाई कर दिया है कि उनका इथॉस इज टू ऑलवेज रिस्पेक्ट एंड कवर क्रिकेट विद क्रेडिबिलिटी, और वो इतना साल से ये करते आ रहे हैं। इस इशू पर हम लोगों ने वी हैव नॉट हर्ड द लास्ट वर्ड। मैंने दोबारा कहा कि जब रोहित शर्मा सही कह रहे हैं और उनका जो एक प्राइवेट स्पेस है, ब्रॉडकास्टर का भी एक प्राइवेट डोमेन है और राइट्स का डोमेन है, वहां पे अगर क्रिकेटर या क्रिकेटर के फैमिली जाके इन्फ्रिंज कर देते हैं तो वो भी एक केस ऑफ डबल स्टैंडर्ड्स बन जाता है। उसके बारे में भी हमें सोचना चाहिए। बट दिस प्राइवेसी इशू इज अ वेरी सीरियस सब्जेक्ट and we can't just let this. I think there will be more talk on this and there will have to be some kind of intervention from the administration to try and resolve it at the earliest, because ये मानना पड़ेगा रोहित शर्मा जब अमेरिका जाएंगे, स्टार स्पोर्ट्स ही कवर करेगा वर्ल्ड कप। सो अगर होस्ट ब्रॉडकास्टर के साथ भारतीय कैप्टन का संपर्क टूट जाता है या खराब हो जाता है तो हमारे देश का क्रिकेट के लिए और हमारे देश का क्रिकेट के ब्रॉडकास्ट के लिए वो एकदम ही सही नहीं हो सकता है, क्योंकि क्रिकेट T20 वर्ल्ड कप में रोहित शर्मा को भारतीय टीम का कैप्टनसी करना है और स्टार स्पोर्ट्स को वो ब्रॉडकास्ट करना है। ब्रॉडकास्ट होस्ट ब्रॉडकास्टर और इंडियन क्रिकेट टीम हैव टू बी वन। Only then can this ecosystem work properly. So one has to keep that in mind. My producer said there are some other questions also, but let me quickly say, yesterday Satvik and Chirag, point number 3 in our broadcast, we dealt with two issues, 5 at 5. Satvik and Chirag won the Thailand Open Super 500, their fourth final of the year, and the duo of destruction winning this particular match pretty comfortably. I was watching the match 21-15, 21-15. In the first match, the Chinese duo went into the break 11-10, but thereafter Satvik and Chirag took control, and it was all Satvik and Chirag after that. So 21-15, 21-15 in favor of Satvik and Chirag for the Thailand Open. Today, it is the 100 days to go for the Paralympic Games, and which will start in Paris on the 28th of August, and we will bring you every possible broadcast, medal, and stories from on ground in Paris multiple times. You know, all of our teams will be there, 5-6 of us will be there, and we will all be there to cover the Paralympic Games for all of you. Yes. Yes, Shopin, play the questions. Play the questions. So Paralympic Games, it's the 100 days to go. Shayondeep Manik, why isn't anyone raising their voice for Ohika Mukherjee? How is it fair? It is one of the main reasons why it doesn't win much at the global stage. Partiality and politics matters here than potential and performance. What do you think? Shayondeep Manik. Shayondeep, with due respect, you know, did you really watch our broadcasts and read our stuff? Firstly, what you are saying is 100% right. I have raised this point multiple times, not once. If you kindly go and check the Rev Sports website and the Rev Sports Twitter handle and every Rev Sports broadcast, including the YouTube channel, we have even done an exclusive interview with former national coach Subramanian Raman, where he says that if you are only going by numbers, why don't you make accountants select the team? Because how can you drop Ahika Mukherjee? 2 months back, she beat the world number 1 Chinese, and you have dropped her now in favor of Archana Kamath. None of us have anything against Archana Kamath. But the point is, one is ranked 100 and the other maybe 130. This ranking doesn't really matter when it's 100 and 130. It's not the top 10. And Raman was very clear that Ohika was critical and her contribution fundamental to India making the Olympic Games. So in such a scenario, how can you not pick Ahika? The moment this happened, the day the team was announced, if you go and check my tweets, my pronouncements, my work, you will see I have questioned this. Thereafter, while the others have left it at that, we went and interviewed Subramanian Raman, who was our coach at the Asian Games, at the Commonwealth Games, and the World Championship, where he very clearly said that if this is the way we select our teams, then accountants can select teams and you don't need selection committee people. We have also reached out to Ohika, who did not want to talk, and justly so, because she is a player. She can't speak about selection committee matters. But we have clearly said that this was a surprising selection. How does the selection committee omit Ohika? And I also questioned about Satyan, because Manav, Satyan, and Harmeet are all ranked in the 60s. Till the Saudi smash, Satyan was actually ranked higher than Manav and Harmeet. Manav has never won a match against a top 30 player for India. So how is it that Satyan gets overlooked, who has always had pedigree and was critical in India qualifying? In fact, in the World Championship, in the World Team Championship, Manav lost that match against Poland, after which India had to bring back Satyan in that match against Kazakhstan to make it to the Olympics. So not simply about Ohika, also about Satyan, we have raised our voice and we have questioned the critical selections that have been done. We got Subramanian Raman to weigh in on the Ohika selection and the Satyan selection. So kindly, on our platform, you will have all sports addressed and all the tough questions asked to everybody, and we will voice their opinion. However unpopular such opinion can be, we will not fall short. So Shayandeep, I hope you will go and see that interview with Subramanian Raman straight away. It is on our YouTube platform, on our social media platforms, and then please also come and comment on that. That yes, Rev Sports did raise this question about Ohika Mukherjee and about Satyan Dhanasekaran. Swapnil, there was one final question, right, which you had sent me. Where do you rate Deepti Jivanji's achievement today in parasports? Look, firstly, in Kobe, it is very, very important to celebrate every Paralympic athlete's achievements. And with 100 days to go, it is a very special day where India wins. Let me make a prediction here, sports fan. I had said in Tokyo that India will win 15 medals. We won 19. I am actually making a prediction, and you can hold me to this. I am making a prediction that India will win 35 medals, between 30 and 35 medals in the Paralympic Games in Paris. Again, I say it. India will win 30 to 35 medals in the Paralympic Games in Paris, and we, as part of Rev Sports, multiple people from Rev Sports, more than 4 people from Rev Sports, will be there in Paris, some with accreditation, some without, to cover the Paralympic Games and bring to you every possible story. And without sounding pompous, hand on heart, I don't think any Indian media house will send more than one representative, and we will have 5 or 6 people in Paris for the Olympic Games and the Paralympic Games. And I promise you that every venue, wherever India is playing, you will see our representatives. We will bring you the build up, we will do the stories, we will do Know Your Athlete, we will do Focus Paris, we will go deep dive into with our Paralympic athletes, and we will bring you every possible action coming out of Paris from the Paralympic Games. So our coverage of Paris Olympics and Paralympics, kindly follow us, because we will do optimum coverage of multi-sport, not just cricket. So while for the Cricket World Cup, 3 of our representatives will be in the United States, not 1, but 3 of our representatives will be in the United States and in the Caribbean. For the Olympics, it will be double. We will all be in Paris for the Olympic Games and the Paralympic Games. So that is what we stand for here at Rev Sports, to document athletic achievement and the larger stories, the macro stories in front of you. And that is a commitment we have had from day one. Long show, Saurav Kandrar. What is the reason for the poor results? Men's wrestling, as he won 1 quota. Who is responsible? This is a huge question to answer, Saurav. You've seen what has happened in wrestling in the recent past. You have seen that men's wrestling has gone clearly down, and for a large while, the WFI getting suspended. We know what happened with Brij Bhushan. We know what happened with the ad hoc body, the UWW, and the Wrestling Federation. So all of these things have impacted Indian men's wrestling, and except Aman Sherawat, nobody has qualified, and that's a big blow. Ravi Dahiya, Aman Sherawat were both in that 57 kilos. Aman Sherawat finally got the quota. Bajrang not making it 65. Sujit and Jaideep did come close in the last qualifier. Unfortunately, were not able to make it. But I will take this question. In a larger context, maybe whenever I do the show next. But because there is a lot more to this, I've already done a long show today. But the truth is, you are spot on. The wrestling issue has clearly sort of forced Indian men's wrestling downhill, and we are seeing the results now. And it's not just one person or one stakeholder who is responsible for this. I hope you enjoyed the show. We have tackled every question head on, whether it's wrestling, whether it's Paralympics, whether it's other sports, whether it's table tennis, of course, cricket, the two burning topics that I addressed in this particular show. I will be back with 5 at 5, maybe on Friday, because I will be traveling. And let me say this, I will be traveling tomorrow, so I'll be on a flight. And some very special shows coming your way. Very special shows. Tomorrow at 12 noon, the Mukesh Kumar interview done by Debashish Sen. There will be a Kolkata Knight Riders special coming your way as well, because Kolkata Knight Riders is playing tomorrow. There will be in Bangla a special coming with Ogni and myself, building up to the big match. It will be live tomorrow at 9. And in Hindi, Shubhayan, Rohit Juglan, Gargi Raut, Ishan Shahane will bring you multiple live shows. So follow the Rev Sports platforms for everything that is sport, because this is the only platform which will give you comprehensive multi-sport holistic coverage. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.